All right, thank you so much for joining us for Meet Music Knoxville. This is the radio show where I yammer on with guests for roughly about 45 minutes to an hour. People I've never met before. It's always fun. It's always invigorating. We always find weird connections, and it's always a good time. So I'm actually really excited today. We're doing Meet Music Knoxville remote. We're doing it from my porch in South Knoxville. Just worked out that way with the scheduling, and so we're going to send this over to the studio as it goes out to live air this month. Yeah, I'm really excited about today's guest. So Cecilia Wright is someone whose name I'd heard a bunch. If I'm correct, Sean McCullough, the Lone Tones.
I've played with the Lone Tones for a long time.
Yep, I think that's where I first heard your name. I think Jessica Watson has brought your name up a few times. And then, whether I've heard it other places, I'm sure I have. But with Facebook constantly bombarding me with the names of people that I should know, you've come up a lot.
Okay.
And I should explain to you, most of the people who, if you're checking out this show, you already know a little bit of my background. I just moved to Knoxville in November.
Okay.
So this started as a grand ruse to just meet a bunch of awesome people.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And but also I just really love that energy where you connect with musicians, talk music. You know, there's always a little bit of magic that happens the first time, you know, you get to hang with someone. So this is it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me. Very
Absolutely.
flattered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're both. This is going to go out the end of October, I'm sure. Maybe it'll have cooled down a little bit. We are currently schwitzing up a storm out here.
It really feels like the summer that won't end.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm sort of ready for it to feel like fall. I'm like, I need a scarf around my neck.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fall guy, too, except that I've heard that this winter is supposed to be a bear down here.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm not looking forward to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well then
I moved down from the north, so it's like the goal was to escape winter.
Where were you living?
I was in Brooklyn for about 7 years. I think it was just over 7 years I was there. And yeah, moved down here because of the pandemic.
Okay.
Stuff. Just needed change of pace and had toured through the area. So, yeah. And you also are recently back to town, and it's so awesome to have you. So
Thank
we can
you.
have you for things like radio shows. And I'll say this to the folks at home. I listened to Cecilia's original music for the first time today. And I'm just going to say, I was just really blown away by how personal your lyricism was. I'm a big fan of the shoot from the hip style of writing, especially because life is very complicated. And I don't know. I'll be honest. I only was able to listen to about half of the album, but everything I heard was like, not just what you said, but the way you said it all had this very emotional directness, and it was met by also some interesting musical complexity, added bars here and there, really kind of pretty melodies and great production. So
thank you.
It's awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. I've been definitely blown away by some of the people I've met here in Knoxville, and you're certainly no exception to that.
There's so many good musicians here, and it's been... So I just moved back to Knoxville 3 weeks ago, and, well, I don't know when this is going to air, but right now, that's the timeline.
As of now, yeah.
After being in Lexington for 6 years, and it's been really fun to just start reconnecting and just jumping right back in with musicians I've played with before, and then also kind of getting acquainted with some new musicians like Adeem the artist. Mm-hmm. We've started playing together more recently and sort of met kind of by happenstance, on Twitter. We were complimenting each other's music on the WDVX page, and so it's been really, really fun to I've just been hitting up every musician I know and be like, hey, I'm back, let's play music, just shameless. That's all I want to do right now is just play with everybody. And it's a good excuse to get together with people. okay, let's hang out, but let's also like make something cool, you know?
Right. Yeah, and it's cool to reconnect with people that you haven't played with for a while because, you know, everyone's changing and growing. For some people, it's, you know, a more steady process. For others, it's, you know. And so I've always found that to be an invigorating part of the experience of being a musician, especially touring. You know, I used to spend a lot of time on the road, and we would just disappear for, you know, we'd go out for a couple months. I get to California once a year, maybe, but, you know, getting to see those people a year, and it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It just sort of gives purpose and to everything that it's, I don't know, something about being a musician sometimes that you get really confused by why do I put myself through this stuff? And watching other people grow is part of that.
Yeah. Just like as an example, so, you know, I've played with the Lone Tone. I was playing with the Lone Tones a lot before I moved and on cello. And when I was about to move back, they mentioned, I've been playing more bass recently, and they mentioned filling in for Vince Logan on the bass. And so, you know, I learned a bunch of new songs, which is cool. Just like you said, they're always writing. They're always cranking out new stuff. And, yeah, so it was really fun. It was like within a couple of days of moving back, I was playing a gig with my old, you know, the band I used to play with, but on a different instrument and new songs. And it was, I don't know, it was kind of poetic. It felt sort of like a sweet homecoming, and it was fun to do it in a different way too.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're all evolving, and like this thing is changing, and we're doing it in a different way. And I don't know, it was a sweet moment. Yeah,
that's, I believe, I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had similar situations happen. But let me divert for a second. So you're from Knoxville. Where from abouts in Knoxville?
Well, I was born in Charleston, West Virginia, moved here with my family in third grade. We lived in West Hills. My mom's still in West Hills.
Got it.
I
gotta be honest, I don't know where that is.
Okay, so West Knoxville.
Oh, got it, okay.
But, you know, like 10 minutes from downtown, not
20 minutes from downtown.
Yeah. So my mom's in the Knoxville Symphony. She's been playing with them since, I want to say 98, when we moved here. So a long time.
Cello also?
Cello, yeah.
Okay.
My dad's no longer here. He's in Traverse City, Michigan.
I used to work at Interlochen.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So my dad's wife works for Interlochen.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like, she does fundraising for Interlochen.
Wait, what's her name?
Kathy Dodge.
Okay, this is a Google.
Do you know her?
I don't know. Maybe if she was there like 9 or 8 years ago.
Oh, she started around that time.
Yeah,
so you might have just missed her,
yeah,
possibly. But and then like my mom used to also go to Interlochen.
Oh my gosh, small world,
Yeah.
Small world. I love it. Yeah, I love Michigan. I mean, I chose to move here, but I love Michigan. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
those winters.
It's
are brutal.
beautiful. Oh, I know. I don't think I could do it just for that reason.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to go visit because it's just.
Oh yeah,
pristine,
in the summer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in the summer too. Yeah. But even winter, you know, it's nice to just be there for a couple days because it's, you know, it's like you're gonna pass Santa Claus going down the highway or something, you know. But yeah. Oh, cool. So anyway, that's awesome. And is your dad also artistically inclined?
Yeah, my dad's a musician too. I mean, he's entirely self-taught, but he plays guitar and mostly guitar, but, you know, he plays banjo and he plays some fiddle and mandolin. He plays a lot of old-time music. So when he was living here, he was playing with a lot of, you know, the old-time musicians here and playing a lot of the dances. And
What is his name?
Clark Miller.
Okay. I'm going to ask my friends, like, this is why I do this radio show, because you have these conversations and you're like, oh my gosh, we're so connected in so many ways. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so do you play a lot of old time music?
Not really. I kind of sit in. I'm familiar with a lot of those tunes. I'm kind of embarrassed that I haven't really like taken the time to like seriously learn all those tunes. So I've grown up around a lot of them. They're in my ear. I can sit down and I can sort of fumble my way through some stuff, but I can't really call myself an old time musician because I can't sit down and, you know, whip out like from memory a bunch of tunes. But
yeah, you play fiddle as well?
No, just cello and bass.
Well, and
some guitar.
Well, and that's the other funny thing about that. I've been to Clifftop a few times, and there are I remember two cellists at Clifftop. That's it. And I love cello. It's among my favorite instruments. But you just don't really see it in old time music. You could be the premier Knoxville.
Well, there are a lot of people, I don't know about a lot of people, but sometimes they used to use cello and replace the bass with the cello just because it was more portable. So there is like a history of using cello kind of functioning as a bass in old time music.
Oh yeah.
But
I didn't think.
Yeah. But yeah, there are some people that play cello in old time music. But yeah, it's not super common. But it can add a texture. Sometimes I'll go to the dances and like when my dad was playing and just show it with my cello and just kind of trying to follow along and try to catch on to the melodies or play the bass line. And that's the nice thing about it is you can kind of go back and forth between playing in the higher register and playing something melodic, and then kind of switching gears and functioning more as like the bass role.
Yeah.
So it's really versatile in that way, in the range.
Yeah, I think about it like it would be probably awesome for adding like some strong counterpoint things because it projects in the same way a violin does, but you can sort of. That's probably really fun. In fact, oh, cool. When I think about it. So first instrument was the cello?
Tried to play piano. That didn't work very well. I'm horrible on piano. But did a little bit of that, and in 5th grade, my mom's a cellist, so I had the opportunity to play earlier, but I actually wanted to play viola, and my mom said, you know what, I'm not paying for viola lessons. Here's a cello. You can do that. Because she didn't think I was going to keep doing it. She was like, this is a passing thing. She's going to give up on it. So I played cello, and yeah, I just kept doing it. Played some bass and upright bass like in middle school, and yeah, and then by high school I started taking it more seriously, I guess. And
now, has it been mostly classical kind of stuff that you
Yeah.
were focused on in school at least? Or
yeah,
was it,
I did growing up I did all the like orchestra camp and youth symphony, and then in high school like all state orchestra and Governor's School for the Arts and all that stuff. So
in Virginia?
No, here in Tennessee.
Oh, cool. I didn't realize they had a governor's school program here.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's great.
Yeah, so, mostly classical music all through till the end of high school. And then I started becoming more interested in, like, improvising and folk music, and I got connected with Maggie Longmire, who is kind of a long-time folk musician here, and ended up playing a concert with her, and R.B. Morris was a part of that, and just a lot of people who've been around for a long time, and I kind of just started realizing how much I like to play original music and write parts and improvise. And when I went to UT, I decided I would major in music, or at least give it a shot. And within the first week, I went to Rusty Holloway, the bass professor, and I told him that I wanted to study with him. And I think he was kind of like scratching his head, like, okay, why is this cellist like wanting to study with me? But I'd seen him play, and he was amazing. And I wasn't necessarily thinking jazz, but I just knew that I wanted to like develop more skills that would allow me to improvise in different styles. And luckily he agreed to let me study with him. So I studied classical music. I studied with the cello professor, Wesley Baldwin, and also studied with Rusty. And so, long story short, I just started to try to broaden my skill set, I guess.
Cool. No, I guess that leads me to ask. It's like, do you like jazz? Do you play a lot of jazz? Is it just sort of like a thing you like were into for a while, or is that like currently a part of your identity?
I mean, I love to play jazz. I feel like I have to, I tread lightly because, it's such a serious art form, and there's so much I don't know. There's so much that I could, so much more that I could learn. But I did start studying jazz when I was in undergrad, and and I loved it. And I was playing, it's not there any longer, but Culato Gelato. I was playing at the gelato shop every week, and I was really lucky that, you know, I was really like learning the basics, but I was able to play with jazz majors who knew way more than I did, and kind of surround myself with good musicians, and just like as much as possible try to absorb, just absorb what I could from them, and just get familiar with all the standards and just sort of the language of jazz. And but yeah, I have to be, you know, I'm very, I want to like make sure it's understood that I don't consider myself like a jazz musician, because it is such a serious art form and it requires so much attention and care. In the history of jazz too, like where jazz comes from, it's created by Black musicians, and you know, there's a reverence that needs to be there.
No, I that resonates. Yeah. I have kind of a similar background between that, and then also I studied opera in school. Okay. And it was like a opera intensive undergrad program, and it was like when I got, you know, I had people being like, I really think if you tried, you could do this, and I was like, yeah, but it was like, at what cost? Because it's the thing, it's like, I feel like with things like jazz, which have a very distinct language, you know, to do it right, to really push it in the way that the historical context provides, or in opera, or some of these very niche music worlds where it requires very distinct sound. It's kind of like that, or, you know, it's all that and nothing else to really do it successfully. Right. So all that to say, I understand your perspective on that, and but there's so much to learn from playing jazz.
There is so much to learn, and the thing is, like, working on jazz just helped me become so much more comfortable with everything else I did. It just developed my ear in such a different way, and just gave me more confidence, just sort of getting around my instrument and sort of mapping things out on my instrument. And when you play a fretless instrument, you sort of have to do a little more work as far as like mapping things out in a visual way and kind of like making those connections, if that makes sense. Like, yeah. And, you know, just learning different patterns all across the fingerboard, and sort of thinking about the way like guitar players have, you know, different patterns they play up and down the neck. Like, that sort of visually makes more sense on a fretted instrument, but you can apply that to a fretless instrument too. But I think it takes maybe a little more mental work.
Yeah. To do it, and to
anyway,
do it
I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but it just made me think about my instrument in a very different way. That gave me a lot of tools for, like, you know, okay, I'm going to sit down with this songwriter. I've got a chord chart, and I'm going to write things out, or I'm going to improvise, or whatever. It made me more confident as an improviser in different styles, not just jazz.
Yeah. Well, it's like if you can, you know, make music over these very complex harmonies. Right. I mean, you can make...
Or if you can transcribe a Sonny Rollins solo, then you can probably transcribe a Beyonce song.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to feel a lot easier after doing like a bebop thing, you know?
Yeah.
So transcribing was definitely one of the things I'm really glad I got some experience doing.
Yeah. I'm giggling because you can't see behind you, but there is a gentleman with a chainsaw. I'm watching trees or limbs being felled.
Perfect timing.
I know. I don't know what
I've got my little cup of ice here. I'm like, yeah, jazz. It's great.
So who are your cellists? Who are the people that you love? You know, in classical music and jazz and.
This is such a standard answer, but I do love Yo-Yo Ma so much. Not only is a player, like he's a very emotional musician and, you know, pours a lot of himself into everything he does, like very emotive, but also I just appreciate that he plays a lot of different styles of music and, you know, collaborates with people all over the world. And, you know, to me, that's like the best thing about music is being able to connect with other cultures and other people that you might not otherwise get a chance to. And so I think I just also like him as a person and his sort of approach and philosophy. And I really love, there's this guy, Rashad Eggleston.
Oh,
he's really amazing. He posts really hilarious stuff all the time, too. He used to play with Crooked Still. I have to say my mom is one of my favorite cellists. But
now, does mom play other stuff too, or is she mostly just classical?
Well, she's played professionally, like in a symphony for her entire life.
Yeah.
So that's her thing. She's got a great ear too, though. She can play other styles of music. My parents used to play a lot of music together, and so she's played folk music. She can do it, anything, but she spends so much time in that orchestral world. Like, that's her forte,
Yeah. But they're also, it's interesting. It's like a different set of skills, though.
Yeah.
And so some people, I've definitely worked with classical musicians before who have been like, I don't mess with anything but, the notes on the page.
Right. Right.
But I feel like around here, what's so cool is there's so much music happening, and in so many different contexts and so many different communities that don't even know about each other. Mm-hmm. That there are actually lots of opportunities to try different stuff. So it would make sense that someone like your mom could probably get a lot of work even doing, singer-songwriters, the right folk contexts, the right, Yeah.
Yeah, I keep, she's really talented. I keep kind of like trying to nudge her to do more studio work and just, I don't know. She played a show at the Pilot Light last week, and she was excited about that. It's funny. It's like things that she plays these, big concerts every week, and that's just like normal for her. And she was so excited to play at the Pilot Light,
Yeah. But it's a different experience.
It is, it's a different thing.
It's a different animal.
Yeah.
It's like there's an anonymity of being on a big stage with the lights in your face that you don't get when you're in a dingy club. And, a drunk person can throw a beer at you. What's funny, I've never been to the Pilot Light.
Are you serious?
I swear to you.
It's my favorite venue in town.
Yeah. I've heard that from everyone. So that's like, it's on my bucket list for the next month.
Jason Boardman, who runs the Pilot Light, has done so much to bring just really interesting stuff to Knoxville and put people on a stage that probably wouldn't otherwise, just interesting stuff that maybe wouldn't fit in sort of like other clubs or I love the Pilot Light so much.
Nice.
And the sound is really good, and it's really nice to play for people that came there to listen to you play.
Yeah.
They just sell beer. They're not trying to make money on drinks. They're existing as a music space. And
yeah, I think it's cool. I've seen that the range of stuff I've seen being presented there is just really really cool. That coexisting is the power. If nothing else, is just really powerful.
I had a birthday party once at the Pilot Light, like a birthday party show, and it was Tim and Susan Lee, Tim Lee 3, and Black Atticus. And R.B. Morris. They all agreed to play. It was really fun.
Oh, dope.
I was so excited they did that.
Well, let me use that as a segue then to talk about your music a little bit. Talk about the process of recording this record. Because I checked out on Spotify. Folks, it's on Spotify. Go listen to it.
And Bandcamp.
Oh, and Bandcamp. Actually, Bandcamp. Better. Support the artist. Bandcamp.
But yeah, whatever works for people.
Go listen to it regardless, but preferably Bandcamp. What was that process like for you? Were these songs that you had written recently for this record, or was it stuff that you had accrued for a while?
It was some stuff that I had written over the past couple years, and then some songs that I had written more recently. But yeah, all songs that I had written in the past 2 years. And I didn't really have plans to put them out. But during COVID, I was fortunate to have a close friend, who has a really nice home studio, who agreed to I don't know, we just sort of casually started talking about it, and he agreed to record them, and it just, I guess the ball just kind of started rolling. And I think because people were a little more available than they normally would be, I was sort of lucky to have some musicians around me who were down to be a part of it and maybe had more time than they normally would. So it kind of felt like an in the moment sort of like carpe the diem kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's cool. And I think it does have, I think that's one of the things I liked about it, is like it has this confessional quality to it.
Yeah.
Which comes from, sort of like you said, I feel like someone who wasn't maybe necessarily expecting to put it out in this way, and then it was the right time, and, you know. So it's, and I think that has that sort of like emotionally raw thing, which is, I think, one of the greatest things about the recordings. Yeah. Now, do you, when you go into the studio, because you said it's a nice home studio, did you live track parts of it?
So
or?
we tracked bass, drums, and guitar live. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to have something happening live. So I wanted to capture like all the rhythm instruments live. So we did that, and then we overdubbed everything else. Got it. Yeah.
Tried and true rhythm tracking and everything else on the top.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's what we did. Part of it is I wanted to capture that kind of live sound energy of like those particular instruments playing together, but also it was like a time thing. It's like, we got to do this efficiently. I was like, I cannot waste the studio time, and I wanted to leave some time to like, you know, I wanted to kind of get all the basics done, so we had a little time to like play around and experiment with, you know, adding like extra percussion and just some auxiliary stuff. Mm-hmm. And vocal harmonies and stuff.
When first of all, the thing that immediately pops into my mind as you're talking about that process, though, is obviously it saves time, saves money, saves all of those things, but it's also, I don't know, coming from folk and jazz and that sort of stuff, it's a live medium.
Yeah.
And you get some of that like live energy in there, and it reads. It like really read through, which is great. And I love the. Am I right? You did a lot of like vocal doubling, the Sufjan Stevens.
Some of that, yeah, some of that. I had a friend come and do some harmonies. I did the harmonizing with myself a little bit too, which probably, if I had more time, I probably would get someone else to do the harmonies. Right. But it was like I said, I had a lot of things I wanted to layer in, so it was kind of an efficiency thing too. It's like, okay, I just got to do this myself.
Yeah, and if you can, you know, there's plenty of studio magic that can happen.
Yeah,
pushes stuff out of the way. Now, do you track at home at all?
A little bit, yeah. And during COVID, I got a little more practice and you know, doing some remote recording. I mean, you know, if you have a decent mic, and your instrument is good, and you're in a space that you like, you really don't need that much, you know. Yeah. So. Yeah, I got a little more practice doing that. Just a couple days ago, actually, I tracked some cello stuff at home, and it seems like it works okay. I just use GarageBand.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's not very sophisticated, but it's just...
Yeah.
It seems like it works okay.
We're tracking in Reaper today.
Okay.
Which is also, it's not free, but they don't charge you. If that makes sense. It's like it's what is the word where people collaborate on it? Something where I can't remember. Of course, this is happening.
You'll think of it as
I know. As we're done with this, anyway, it's out there, and you basically, it's like $60 for like the amateur license, and you'd be an amateur because you're not running a studio, right? But it's worth checking out. It's really cool, and it will give you more options than GarageBand. Yeah, but yeah, I love it, and which leads me to ask the next question, which I'm blanking on. And then I'm just fixating on the dog barking and the lawnmower.
I know, there's a lot going on in the neighborhood today.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Everyone wants their shot at fame.
Yeah.
And they're trying to... It's
trying
like
to
when...
steal. Yeah. Don't steal my thunder.
Yeah. It's like when they do the news, they shoot the news and the kid comes up with the... poking his head in. Yeah. So, okay. What, because you're a bass player, electric and upright. And
well, I haven't played upright in a long time. People keep asking me if I'm going to play upright, and I'm like, nope, I am not carrying an upright bass. Like, I've got my bowed instrument. Like, I just want to be cool rocking the bass guitar.
Yeah.
But yeah, truly, I do not want to carry an upright bass around.
Yeah, it's miserable. So you play some upright, but you mostly are electric bass and cello. Do you play, and probably some guitar, obviously?
I play some guitar. I mostly play, I play guitar for music therapy. That's like my primary instrument that I use to accompany myself.
For giving or getting music therapy? Giving.
I'm a music therapist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Mm-hmm. There a lot of work in music therapy around here, or?
I'm trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was working as an independent contractor in the public schools up in Lexington for the past 2 years. One of which was during COVID, which was telehealth. So I had to figure that out.
Telehealth?
Yeah. So like virtual music therapy sessions with kids.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was interesting. But yeah, I graduated in May with my master's in music therapy. So, I mean, I just...
this year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So, yeah, there are a lot of things I want to do. I've got to figure that out. So, that's on my list.
Yeah. Now, are you playing out as you around town?
I don't have anything lined up right now for my solo music, but I've been playing regularly with Sonora May, who lives in Eastern Kentucky. We're going on a tour in November. So yeah, that's kind of the main project I've been performing with. And then like next week I'm playing with Adeem the artist for 6 O'Clock Swerve at Barley's. Mm-hmm. Got a couple gigs lined up with Adeem. Actually, I was just thinking of him because we're in South Knoxville, but Barry Pohana, guitarist.
Another name that's just come up.
Amazing guitar player.
But he lives close, right?
Yeah, like I won't tell people where he lives.
Yeah, but he lives close to this nondescript location.
Yes, he lives very close by. Yeah, so I've got some good stuff lined up.
Cool, that's great. And it's cool that you're sort of just back in town and figuring it out.
Yeah, definitely figuring it out.
Mm-hmm. Do you have, obviously this record is new. Let me just check, make sure my sound's coming through. Yeah, okay. Because that would have been really funny if it was just a one-sided conversation through the whole thing. Anyway. I can't remember what I was going to ask.
You're saying something about the record?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Do you, anticipate going through that process again sometime soon? Did that, inspire anything? Are you writing a lot now?
It's kind of hard to imagine, putting a whole album together again, just with, many different constraints. But I'd really like to I put out a single about a month ago that my cousin who lives here in town, Forrest Wenzel, he arranged it, played the piano part, actually wrote the cello part out, which was kind of fun because I always write my own parts, and I just sat down and he had the music in front of me. And but yeah, I kind of just want to keep putting out some singles and do it with different people, and just I don't really have an end goal with my own music, so in a way that's kind of freeing because I'm not trying to maintain a consistent sound or anything. I can kind of just do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So I really would like to just keep writing and maybe just put out some singles, maybe an EP at some point. But yeah, just collaborating with different people, having different people produce singles and
See
if I can make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played recently with Seth Hopper on fiddle and Jake Smith on guitar, opening for Adeem for their album release. And yeah, that was really fun. Maybe throw some drums in the mix. So I do want to keep...
You get to play some drums in the mix?
I want to add some drums to that group. So
got it.
Yeah, I'm sort of trying to figure out what I want to do, but yeah, I do want to keep recording, and I want to work with different people, and I don't know, just sort of explore like the range of sounds that I could potentially get. And
yeah,
so no concrete plans, but I definitely want to keep writing and recording.
That's great. I think that's awesome. And the other thing is that the approach that you're sort of talking about, let alone being like creatively, you know, it's you have the time, you have the space, you have the energy to approach it in a very organic way. It's such a financial hassle to put out a full record.
Yeah.
Did you end up like printing hard copies, or was this all?
I got like 100 CDs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it cost a lot of money, and I got really fortunate that I had people like being very generous with their time. Like, but even so, like, yeah, it definitely cost money. So that's part of it too. Is you know, got to save for it, and it's easier to put out a single obviously than like doing the whole record. And
yeah. I can't remember who I was talking. I think it was with Jessica, where she sort of made this comparison, because we were talking about the different sort of songwriter scenes, and basically what I was asking is that, you know, where she has such fabulous people playing sort of in her circle, and I was like, well, where are the open mics where they go to? Where are the hangs that they inhabit? And she sort of came up with this equation where it's like a lot of people are instrumentalists that also happen to be songwriters or whatever, which is awesome because it's all of that craft and all of that musical knowledge that comes with, oh, I got to play a classical gig today, and then I got to go play a jazz gig, and then I'm going to sit behind this person and do this, and you know, all that juggling comes out in the music, and it's really cool. And there's also not that pressure to like, I don't know, you don't feel that pressure to put out in the same way that I feel like an artist who's like, I write songs and come hear me do this thing. Yeah, and I need to, this is like my income, and I need to support my family, and I needed to, there's a lot of pressure with all that. So I don't have that pressure. I just did it because I wanted to, and I was really lucky that I got to. And yeah. Who are you listening to these days? What's like on the current rotation of stuff? Oh my gosh. Well, I've been the last couple of days listening to a lot of Fiona Apple because I'm playing a wedding. They want some Fiona Apple, and I'm trying to figure out what songs are appropriate for a wedding because that stuff is dark. Oh my gosh. I've been listening to a lot of Valerie June. Yeah. That's great. Oh, what else? I love Sam Quinn and the Everybody Fields. Yeah. I've been listening to Ravel and WC. Yep. So you like a lot of those, like, you know, French sort of impressionistic, you know, early 20th century composers? Yeah. I don't listen to a lot of earlier classical music. When I listen to classical music, it's usually, you know, turn of the century, later. Yeah. Jazzy stuff. What kind of jazzy stuff? Oh, just jazzy. The jazzy, right, that's right. Yeah. Has a little bit of that crunch to it. Yeah. Well, what kind of jazz are you most attracted to then? Oh gosh. It's tough because it's like they all have such distinct identities. I love John Coltrane. I love Wayne Shorter. Yeah. I love I love like a lot of his melodies. Yeah. I like a lot of jazz musicians too, who are like trying to make their stuff more accessible. Like, I
I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but you know, like jazz, but also like incorporating different pop styles or like soul or whatever. Like Esperanza Spalding, I love. Oh my gosh, I always feel like I'm put on the spot when I have to start listing for people.
Don't worry about it. Like that's
a lot of Brazilian music. I've been listening to Quarteto Novo. I don't know, it's this Brazilian group.
Cool. I've been listening to it. There's this great David Byrne had a record of samba music, like when he had his like world record label that I love, and so I just recently got back into that.
Nice.
So I'm there with you on that. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I don't want you to ever feel pressure. I can start spitting stuff out too if that makes you feel better.
Yeah.
I'm more just, curious. Man, but it's tough to play Fiona Apple at a wedding. To go back to that, it's like, man, that. Is it Idler Wheel? Is that what it's called?
Oh, I love that's my favorite one.
So good.
That's my favorite.
And it's got that live energy too.
Yeah.
And just beautifully, it's funny because it's like I've played that for some jazz musicians, like with the intentional idea of being like this is doable for a jazz musician to do, and still like really take this out stuff and make it palatable for people. They don't always take the bait, and I don't get it because it's so live, it's so visceral.
Yeah.
Every element of it.
No, I love that it's so heavy on percussion and just rhythm.
Yeah. The way she plays the piano.
And there's still a lot of space. There's a lot going on, and it's complicated in some ways, but there's also a lot of space and just so much texture and also for something to be like musically so interesting, and also the lyrics are just incredible.
Yeah.
And you can hear the lyrics, you can hear them. Like they're very present despite, all the stuff that's going on. It's really cool. I don't know how she manages to like capture all of that and pull it off.
I think she's just really visionary, I guess. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just so powerful.
And Joanna Newsom is like that in some ways too.
I was never able to get into her music the same way, though.
Okay.
I don't know what it was. It just never clicked for me. That's all I got. I was just hoping the Love Fest could go on. And I just unfortunately had to drop the ball there.
No, that's okay. It's all good.
Are you a Bjork fan?
I really need to listen to more Bjork. My best friend is really into Bjork.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I need to listen to more. I like what I've heard.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite... Do you know Taylor Ashton?
Mm-mm.
His most famous affiliation is that he's now married to Rachel Price of Lake Street Dive.
Oh, okay.
Great songwriter in his own right. Just really wonderful dude. Clawhammer banjo brings a lot of like the old time, and then he sort of has like, it's that guy Chris Martin from Coldplay.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of has like that kind of voice. I've always thought anyway. And then like clawhammer banjo thing, but great writing, and does the best version of Hyper Ballad. You know that one?
Mm-mm.
Oh my god. It's this Bjork song about she's standing on the edge of a cliff, and like she goes out every morning before her partner wakes up, staring off the edge of a cliff because that exhilaration, what is it? I go through all this before you wake up so I can feel happier to feel safe with you.
Okay.
And it's just like the depth of the emotion of that experience is just like, but and I really enjoyed that feeling of consequence in your music as well. I see now I can't remember what it was because I literally listened to this for the first time like 5 hours ago. But there was that great one about the cigarette one, cigarette smoke. I don't know. I'll gush on music at a later time. But
standing next to men smoking cigarettes in bars.
Yeah. I don't know. I just something about the gravity.
That song was definitely inspired by a bar here in town. I won't tell you which one, but
is it one that still has cigarette smoke in it?
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it's just great writing.
Yeah, I like really visceral songwriting, like very sensory, concrete kind of things you can like touch and smell and see like lots of layers of like sensory stuff and really I mean, you know, I appreciate like really abstract songwriting too, but yeah, I mean, like David Berman from the Silver Jews is a songwriter that definitely inspires me in that way.
Wait, what's the band?
The Silver Jews.
The Silver Jews.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. Let me check that down.
And like Jonathan Richman and yeah, I'm really touched by songwriters that just like include a lot of really concrete sort of sensory stuff. And so I think when I'm writing, I'm sort of like, I have that in mind a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for is like, oh, I want you to smell it and taste it and, you know.
Was there ever like a song when you were, or songwriter or moment when you were growing up and starting this process? Well, first of all, how old were you when you wrote your first song?
I started writing, I wrote really silly songs when I was a kid all the time. Like I would write little silly songs. I remember in like 5th grade writing really goofy songs, and I would like ask to perform them for the class. And I would just like get up and sing these silly songs. And then of course you go to middle school and you get self-conscious. Like I was like fearless for a little bit. But yeah, they were always really silly, you know, and then like later on I would try to write more serious stuff, but I never felt like it was anything that I felt confident enough that I wanted to really share or knew how to, or didn't feel like my voice was good enough to do it. But I think, you know, being around songwriters, playing with so many different songwriters over the past, I don't know, 12, 13, 15, whatever years, like, I don't know. I think maybe I've absorbed some things from the people I've played with. And I also just got to a point, too, where I'm just like, I don't know, like, life is short. Just do the things you want to do. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect for it to be, like, worthy of sharing with people, you know? Like, I think I always had this idea that, like, it's not worth sharing with anyone unless it's perfect. But I guess I've gotten over that a little bit. Maybe going through a pandemic and like a Trump presidency and a lot of other crap has propelled me to think that way. But yeah. So I don't think I'm some incredible songwriter. I just got to a point where I was like, well, I've got these songs and I've got this person that's going to record me. Like, let's do it.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're certainly not the first. I'm on that boat of people for whom, I know the pandemic is horrible, and it was horrible for a lot of people. But for me, it allowed me to make some life changes that I think are just, you know, I'm a happier person for it.
Yeah.
And part of it is that. It's just the idea that it's like, just put it out.
Yeah.
You know, just go through the process and,
and get better. And the next thing you make will be even better. And
well, and so obviously, yeah. And then also the fact that it's like, I don't know, before the pandemic, there was this, I don't know if again, it's like your cellist who happens to write songs. And I come from more of, definitely was the songwriter end of it, even though I've done studio work and I've done, you know, my fair share of for hire music kind of stuff. You know, there's still always this like dream of like, oh, maybe I can elbow my way into some sort of music industry. But then to watch all of that get just brought to its knees.
I know.
And like, it was like my partner Kate and I, it was like 3 days, I think. It was like where we just, I first had lost one festival gig, and then by the end of that 3 days, we had just lost all of our employment. And we're in the center of, you know, we were in New York. It was like where it was all happening.
I know. And I kept thinking all through this, like, how badly I felt for people in big cities, like being in the middle of New York City or just not having like an outdoor space where, you know, I mean, I don't know what it was like. You could tell me, but.
Well, I left.
Yeah.
We left for like almost the whole thing.
I mean, you know, I was lucky. I could like walk out into a backyard and like look up and see trees. And, you know, I'm sure even in New York City, like you don't want to be crowded around other people. So what are you supposed to do? Like,
yeah.
You know, I'm sure you didn't have a lot of options of like, anyway, it sounds really stressful.
Yeah, it does. But, thankful. We can just both be thankful that it's...
Right.
We got this going on.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Well, let's wrap this thing up. But before we do you have a website?
I do. It's like a weird Wix website, so we'll just skip that part.
Okay, but you do have Bandcamp.
Yeah, Bandcamp and Spotify. I've got a Twitter if I can ever get access to it again. It's like linked to an old... Sorry, I didn't plan this part out very well.
It's okay. This was all very last minute. Folks at home, we literally... I think we figured this out today, that we were going to record this today.
Yeah.
So there is theoretically a Twitter out there. There definitely is Bandcamp.
You'll see me around. I'll be around.
Yeah. Well, cool. It was great to have you.
Yeah, nice
Cecilia
to meet you.
Wright, folks. Thank you for listening in to Meet Music Knoxville. We do this every month. I have no clue who the next guest is going to be. Seems to be the trend on this show. We just sort of wing it, and I'm always a little surprised and overjoyed, generally speaking, with the people that we've had on the show. Anyway, thank you so much. We're going to have one of Cecilia's songs playing as our outro. So with that, thank you all, and have a great evening.
I spent hours of my life standing next to men, smoking cigarettes in bars, and it never got me very far. And the well drinks are just fine. In the dark they taste okay. When you're a lonely optimist, better drinks are safe for better days. Just tie on your angel wings. You can waltz out the door, then do cartwheels through the night. Whatever you do, don't wait for the fluorescent lights. Do you think that I am funny? Do you wanna call me honey? Do you wanna love me for a little while? Friend to you, just long enough to get you through. We'll make this place what we want to. Float into the night, kiss the person standing close, fall asleep and dream of the one you love the most.